And he looks at Rachel. And Rachel, oh my! Steel का glass मत दिखाओ बाप.
दिखा मैंने इतनी बार दिखाया but.
फिर मैं glass भी करते हैं. फिर मैं अच्छा वाला glass लेके आता.
Hey guys, I'm Smokedship.
And I'm Kankicks.
And I'm Psycho.
Hey, you guys asked for Psycho and Psycho's
here. I'm here, finally.
Welcome to Mixed Up. And what are we talking about today, Kankicks?
We'll be talking about Gears 5.
Gears 5. Okay. Yes. I tried doing the voice.
Gears 5.
No.
I'm not even.
That's the mummy, man.
Gears 5.
Kankicks अभी The Mummy Returns देख रहा था. Amazon Prime पे उसे वही मिला देखने को.
Out of all the things we asked
him
to watch.
Out of all the things.
No, I saw Mummy and then I saw
Out of all
Mummy
the anime
Returns.
which was there.
Out of all the anime, out of all the Amazon Prime originals, को Mummy मिला, Mummy Returns देखने.
I like Brendan Fraser उसमें क्या?
And then when we stopped it,
like
he continued on the laptop.
And I feel it's
इसलिए
a classic.
अगर थोड़ा हरिड लगे, it blame Kankicks क्योंकि वो Mummy Returns लैपटॉप पे देख रहा था. हमने forcibly
पहले मैं टीवी पे देख रहा था, मेरी टीवी बंद की, then I started watching on the laptop.
कहता मुझे भाड़ में
now I have this.
हाँ, भाड़ में जाए mixed up audience, मैंने Mummy Returns देखना.
Obviously,
and I paused it just on the makeout scene, so come on, I was like,
वापस करो makeout scene, वापस.
Guys,
zoom 10%. मैंने pixelation check करना है Digital Foundry की तरह.
Brendan Fraser is the hottest and the most underrated actor.
Not right now.
No.
साइज
That
देखो
would be really
इतना है वो, ठीक है. और नाक के बाल हैं.
Does not matter.
That is Kamal.
How does it matter? For me, Brendan Fraser is what he was in Mummy.
That's what he wants in men. So
yes.
okay.
The Mummy Returns. Ben Diesel. And the hair, man. I just love उसका ऐसे.
Yeah.
Can we just
but
focus
what
on
are we
what
talking about?
It's like
हम बात क्या कर रहे थे किसके बारे में?
And that was the first movie that I saw about Brendan Fraser.
Gears 5.
That's the very first movie I saw.
Gears. शुरू करो. Why is Psycho?
I need to complete this.
Oh my god.
So this was his first movie that I saw. I never knew who he was. Mummy was the very first movie and I watched it on Star Movies.
जेल में कौन था?
पहले वो जेल में he has this big beard. Then Rachel's like an animal and stuff like that. Combed hair. And he looks at Rachel. And Rachel, oh my.
हमारा ना कैमरा की बत्ती बंद हो जाएगी.
Never experienced streak hair. Unique.
और फिर हमने सड़क पे गए और जो भिखारी आते हैं ना मांगने के लिए उनके वही स्ट्रीक्स होते हैं जो आजकल लोग हजारों रुपए देते हैं.
That is
to get that done.
That's the most.
Hi, auntie.
Just we are recording right now.
I'm not going to cut that out. We will not cut that out.
He won't. I'm doing the editing.
Oh yes, nice.
Kankicks ने अभी Bleach का editing करना है जो 3 महीने से चल रहा है. So back to the video. Who's going to start talking about Gears 5? Kankicks तो बोलने.
Okay, I'll start.
Let Psycho start.
Okay, I'll start. Since I am here, this is my first video. Thank you guys for
वैसे
all the people who asked.
You were there in the unboxing of the World of Warcraft paperweight
where
which
I
Kankicks
did not talk.
What? No, you did.
I was my
You
role
were
was
outdoors.
my role was basically like Dave and Jack, which I play in the game, which is what I'm here to talk about basically. Okay, so initially we started the game. I was extremely excited because we started with Gears 4. I mean, Smoked and Kankicks had played it, and I couldn't play it because 3 players cannot play it together. So I played it again with Smoked. Kankicks wouldn't join us, which was really pathetic.
He was out earning millions.
No, I mean it wasn't a 3-player campaign.
Yeah, it was.
I was playing Overwatch.
Not. Yes, he was playing Overwatch, and I enjoyed Gears 4 so much, and I was just waiting for Gears 5 to come, which it did. And right after I played Gears 4, which was actually excellent. And then when Gears 5 started, the first thing was I remember we were picking up our characters, and one person had to take a robot. Despite Marcus being there, despite Kate being there, one person could be JD, one person could be Dell, and I had
Dave
I think
in
Smoke was the robot in the first one.
I was the robot in the first one.
And we got really
This was
pissed off.
played it on Game Pass Ultimate one day before release, and it was running beautifully, lovely, smooth, makhan की तरह चल रहा था.
But we were very cheesed off with the fact that
because and
one
everyone
person has
would
to
be
take a
cheesed off.
robot.
At the end, you feel
Initially.
good. But the thing is, initially when you play it, you do feel it because Gears is all about the third person cover shooter, chainsaw bayonet.
And that's what we were doing all this time.
And suddenly, when they say this is a 3-player co-op, one of the people is forced to play a robot. especially the levitating robot, which is zero control, like what Gears of War game should be.
And it just ruined the immersion of the game as well. It really did. So I started with the robot, and initially it was very disappointing because all I did was get fetch stuff for them, which was the ammo and the other stuff. I think I had one ability, which was to flash blind them, and I could electrocute them to some extent, but then his health was really less, so he would just die and fall down. So it was just a pretty bad experience initially, but later on the experience became really good because you get these abilities where you can stim your teammates and you can increase your the power of your zapper, your own health. But the biggest problem then was all the components and all the upgrades. It just blocked all the upgrades for me. I was not able to access the screen. So it pushed me back to how I was playing Jack initially, which was just basically fetching stuff and giving them ammo and everything and zapping for a little while before I die myself. So that was a little very irritating in the beginning. But I think they did a few patches afterwards.
So what we'll do is we'll go in and out of what Jack's experience was, how it improved down the line.
I'm Jack for now.
We'll switch to, now we'll talk about the campaign and we thought about it. So we will switch to Kankicks.
Why Kankicks?
To start speaking.
Why
because the way he was...
Because he's looking like...
कि अभी मैंने कुछ बोलना है, मेरे ऊपर बंदूकें पॉइंट किए हुए हैं, मैंने कुछ तो बोलना ही होगा अभी. That's why we're going to watch Kankicks.
You can start.
मैं क्या start करूँ? Start तो हो गया. तो बोलो.
ठीक है, it's the people that are looking.
अच्छा.
All those people.
One camera, yes.
जो लिख रहे हैं, वो comments में अभी शुरू कर रहे हैं लिखना.
नहीं, हमारे अभी वाले comments होंगे first.
सबसे पहले comment, ये Kankicks किसी को बोलने नहीं देता. ये Kankicks बीच में फिर बोलना शुरू कर देता है.
ये साइको क्या कर रही है यहाँ पे?
ये Kankicks भाई साहब, उनको भी तो बोलने दो. ठीक है, एंड दिस विल बी 10 times more. अगर मैंने बीच में साइको को इंटरप्ट किया होता ना, पीपल वुड बी लाइक, आर यू मैड?
अच्छा, अब तुमने बहुत डिविएट किया है, पहले मम्मी के साथ और अभी नॉनसेंसिकल चीजें के साथ. तो
so honestly, my expectations now, I don't know, it's because my expectations were low or what. I was expecting more of Gears. What I was expecting was I kind of knew what kind of experience I would be getting. I was like, this is another Gears, yeah, cover shooter. This is the story beats that I'll be getting. This is the experience that I would be getting, and I was expecting something like Gears 4. Average, has a smooth
decent
sailing,
story.
decent. It's serviceable. It's workable.
Smoother,
but
slightly.
What I experienced in the campaign that I experienced, and though the gameplay is largely Gears. But the way they have paced it, the way they have mixed things up, and they mixed it with the story beats, it hits you. Gears all throughout, it hits you. It has moment after moment that hits you. And I don't think so that after Gears 2 I experienced such deep emotions. And he looks at Rachel, and Rachel, oh my, I laughed, I cried, I experienced joy, I experienced thrill. So for me, I felt the campaign was... See, now there are two kinds of stories. One stories are like these stories that are extremely different.
अपना पहले notebook दिखाओ जहाँ तुमने ये सब लिखा हुआ है.
कुछ भी नहीं, कहीं भी नहीं लिखा हुआ मैंने. It's I've not written. अगर लिखा होता मैं notebook साथ में लेके आता.
अच्छा है, यार कि कोई experience हो गया.
So there are stories like Matrix and Inception that are unique and different. But then there are stories that are done hundreds of times. So you know it's a romantic story or it's a war story, but it's done so well, it's crafted so well, it makes you feel. So if that game or that movie, even if the story is done 100 times, you know it's a normal story, but it makes you feel. And you think about it, and you feel about the characters. Then they've achieved that job, goal. And not many stories achieve that.
Yeah,
like I'm playing Control. It has a very unique story in terms of the paranormal stuff and all. But at the end of it, you're intrigued, but you don't feel anything. That's the big problem. It's like, I'm not feeling it. And he looks at Rachel. And Rachel, oh my. Gears has been always this macho gritty game. But at the heart of it, Gears 5 it's a very warm story. That they did a tremendous job. And जो लोग कहते हैं कि Sony, look at Sony, Sony does such a fantastic job and Microsoft नहीं कर पाती, या फिर this we can't expect this from Microsoft. I would say Gears 5 एक बार खेलो, experience it and then talk. I think so.
Absolutely.
From a story perspective, if not better, they have matched what Sony does.
If not gone beyond.
If not gone beyond it, they've definitely made you feel something. And I feel it made me feel more than some of the latest games that have come up right now. So in terms of story, I know that it's still a Gears experience. So I'm forewarning that it's not going to be something that is really going to blow you away. Look, this is what they did with Gears. There are few moments that they do differently that surprise you, but it's a cover shoot.
It has to be a Gears,
but which is also
a
good thing because people know what they want from Gears. See, whenever you're buying a Halo, there needs to be a familiar aspect of that game. So if you like Gears, if you love Gears, you'll love Gears 5 and it will exceed your expectations. Even if you don't love Gears,
you'll actually like it.
You'll actually like it. So that's my thought on the campaign.
Interesting. Very similar. Actually, the whole thing can be summarized in one thing. Gears 5 is a game with heart. You know, it's actually a game which has heart in it. That means that it has emotion, which is positive and negative. It has parts which actually show bravery, courage. It's also bad decisions, good decisions, and in some reviews I saw when they discuss about whether the ends justify the means. I think it was IGN, and they actually mull over that sort of the theory of whether that is right or wrong or whatever. But it's the way you can't put your finger on it. You know, when a story or something is done so well, it's difficult to put your finger on it because it's a mixture of all these different elements coming together. Whether it is the camera angles during a cutscene, whether it is the pauses between dialogue, or the writing of the dialogue, or the way the music stops and starts at a certain moment, the mocap, all those things coming together which bring about a certain emotion in you. That you know, okay, kya feeling hai? Kyun? I mean, we were playing it again on the stream. Oh, was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday on the live stream. And still, despite us laughing around and having fun, I was like, kya banaya hai? I don't know, this is...
Exactly.
I mean, Gears has always been, and I loved it for being what it was earlier, which was this gritty game, these meatheads, and it was these biceps the size of a truck's tire, and you know, chainsaw bayonets and roadie running, and locusts which are even bigger than the Gears themselves, and you know, it's that horror, come macho, come all this. Gears 2 sort of made it a little more diverse when it added female Gears and all, and Anya and all had a better role. And of course you had parts which had heart in them in Gears 2, and you actually felt some moments which were very sad. Gears 3 went ahead with that, of course. 4 was good, was gorgeous to look at, but they didn't have heart. That's what we always used to say. It's Gears. It has the chainsaws, it's got the locust, but it doesn't make you feel anything. It's a great adventure.
Feel like you're
it's like the Mummy versus the Mummy Returns. The Mummy has heart. It's got that emotion and fright and what's around the corner.
And he looks at Rachel. And Rachel, oh my.
The second is fun. It's enjoyable. Lot of good stuff happening. You're familiar with the characters and oh, it's cool.
तुम मेरे को कहते हो मम्मी को देख रहा हो, तुम मम्मी के रेफरेंसेस लेके आ रहे हो.
भाई ये इसको कहते हैं bringing it together, full circle. जो भी हमारे beginning के फालतू बातें थे, कुछ लोग सोचेंगे कुछ है भी.
But I enjoyed Gears 4 because I had asked them specifically, how did you find it, how was the experience, and then they said it was, you know, you should play it. Every time it was, you should play it, we won't spoil it. But when I started playing it, I actually did look forward to the game a lot. Maybe because you waited for so long and you played it, so it was disappointing. But how they introduced the characters was very well done, because in Gears 5 you actually appreciate that, like coming back to how you both are talking about it having heart. Ever since the beginning, the way it brings that atmosphere in the game, the emotions and their relationship with each other is done.
Gears 5
is done so well. It's just not forced at all. I mean, I've been playing Days Gone since some time, and that is so forced. I mean, literally they're trying to force you to feel something, but it's not there. You don't feel anything. But it's done in such a subtle and sweet way that you actually do feel something, which I did kind of feel in 4 as well. That was more of they're showing how it's starting and fifth is like just going more deep into it.
And it's also that the facial expression, the mocap is phenomenal. In fact, I was reading few articles that basically suggest that the mocap is done in a very unique way. So generally what you do is you do a mocap. You do a mocap. It's I can't be curious. Homework ही करना होता है मेरे को. So I was genuinely curious कि उन्होंने कैसे किया.
गलत मैंने कब बोला homework करना गलत बात होता है.
Homework मत बोलो ना. Homework में टेंशन हो जाती है. फिर ऐसे है कि मार्क्स देंगे.
वो तो देना ही है इन्होंने, चाहे किया हो या ना किया हो. एटलीस्ट थोड़ा सा दया कर लेंगे कि बेचारा होमवर्क करके आया है, तब भी मार्क्स नहीं मिले तो चलो हाफ मार्क्स दे देते हैं.
So what they do is
generally वैसे ही बोल देना उन्हें Gears 5 क्या PUBG बोलो or something or the other. Review mobile games. Gears Pop. Sorry.
नहीं बोल लो और कुछ बोल लो.
नहीं.
फिर लंबी हो जाएगी चीज.
Gears Pop के
बोर हो जाएंगे ये लोग.
Gears Pop बोल.
So basically just is कि generally आप क्या करते हो जब mocap करते हो, आप you do a mocap in a studio where you are just facing the camera and nothing's being done. So and generally Naughty Dogs and other companies they do that mocap and they capture the essence of the face and then they craft it. Here what they've done is they've not just done the mocap जब face mocap हो रहा है, face cam हो रहा है, they've even done it जब acting हो रही होती है ना with the body doubles and other things when it's going. They've captured those subtleties also of face and they've combined it and then someone has sat on it and fine-tuned it.
So they've
combined
done the face mocap during the action scene.
They've done it individually, and they've done it during the when your body motion is being captured, and then they take both those data, combine it. They use a smart technology. I'll write it down. There's this engine or a smart tech. I forgot the name that they've been using. It's a third-party tech.
Let's call it smart tech.
I have an exact
patent.
So they combine the system. What it does, it combines the data points, data values, and it says that this is the ideal thing, and then a person can craft and fine tune it. So that's why all that emotions and other things. And he looks at Rachel, and Rachel, oh my, because even when you're moving, it affects how your face reacts, how your face is reacting.
Exactly.
So it captures both those things. And it delivers an exceptional result. It is one of the best mocaps that I've seen.
It is. But they've, I think MPC probably, I may be wrong, they've done the CGI cutscenes. But it's not just the cutscenes, it's even during gameplay and everything. Every act has a certain theme and temperature to it. Like, for example, Act 2 is cold, it's ice, is what we've been seeing so far in all the promos. And that's what it makes you feel inside. It's a cold theme. It comes through to hard, cold truths of the game, and it's basically all the truths are probably shown in that only. And that is what it makes you feel actually what you're seeing on the screen.
Exactly, and it also has to do with the fact that the writing is phenomenal.
It is.
It's very subtle.
Yes.
See, forced writing and subtle writing में क्या है? To give an example, like Fast and Furious में जब वो family बार-बार कहते हैं, you don't feel anything. Here they never say you're my friend or you're my family. But how they act, how they react to each other,
that's what makes you feel.
It's an organic relationship.
Like Fast
it's not like
PS5.
Family. Family. We are family. We are family.
Oh, there was a Hindi movie copy of that also. Salman Khan says it.
Family. So
Race था मेरे ख्याल में.
Oh my God.
Race 3.
मैं पहले सोचा था रेस
movie.
cars
You cannot endure it. Someone needs to give you money to endure that.
No, why? The review came, James Bond needs to watch out.
नहीं, that was Doom. That was Doom 2.
अच्छा.
और Doom 3.
उस चीज में जाए ना, मैंने
Gears से Doom. और Race. बेचारे Gears वाले.
It was Race 3 was pathetic. Family. That movie should not exist.
The best thing, coming back to the topic, the way you're talking about writing. They keep talking, they have which is something the Halo guys need to learn from. They've done such a brilliant job of sitting together, putting all their not the IPs but all their different cross-platform, cross-media merchandise together and saying kisme kya tha, and then bringing it, compiling it, and making it easy to digest for you.
Exactly.
You know, there are parts they'll mention little things in dialogue. Oh, like in the second one, we're passing the derricks. which were trucks used in Gears 2 during when we drilled down to the locust core and all that. So they pass those and say, oh Marcus, you used to, this was they're talking to Marcus on the radio, they say you guys went down on these drills and all, and Marcus says, yeah, it was, this is how it was and all that. And having played the Gears 2 games, you feel that you've lived through those memories, you know.
Exactly. And there are a lot of throwbacks all throughout the game. This game actually ties in all the gears, and they don't come across as forced. It's very done very subtly.
It doesn't throw too much info at you.
Exactly. कि ये भी हुआ था, ये भी हुआ था, ये भी
Even
हुआ था.
Judgment, I mean, that was
Not does it say
Judgment also. They've included Judgment also.
Not does it say कि भाई हम ये नहीं बताएंगे, इसके लिए जाके 4 नॉवेल पढ़ो फिर आपको पता चलेगा.
Exactly.
that was crazy.
It's, see, people who have not played any of the gears will still appreciate it. It's not that they'll not be lost कि ये चीज क्या है या ये क्या हो गया. And the thing is,
they like it as the game, but
they could have stopped just at giving throwbacks and tying in stuff. They went beyond it. They fleshed it out. They had this space programs. They talk about the space programs, which has never been done in Gears. They talk about politics. Two factions that were fighting with each other. Independent territory that was in between it, and the URI. I should not spoil this. Basically, one of the factions, they took over that particular portion, and there's this one very small conversation that is happening where they ask that you took over this portion which was right close to COG. With
why did you build a facility here?
It's like, he said
that's the last place they'll expect.
And not just that, they also talk about that this area was they, rather than advancing military technologies, they were advancing something that made human life better.
Yes. That was another, he takes his name, sorry, I'm forgetting. I think Faz is of that.
And I love that. Yeah, he's from there, and then you understand why is he like that. Why is he against everybody? Why does he react? Because it was an independent territory that
taken over by the UIR.
And used for military purposes. So then you connect. Why does this person react like this? And they don't have to, and they didn't elaborate rather, and they had it just for a touch second, so that it does not spoil the other experience or takes away from the other experience and just adds on to it.
It's like a little flavor or a taste for you to make you intrigued into going and maybe playing those games or reading those books or those graphic novels.
And you appreciate that they are not focusing on COG. The Gears world is much beyond just COG.
Absolutely.
So it's not about COG.
And actually, just hitting on the point that you just made, it's not just expanding from the COG, it's expanding within the COG itself.
Exactly.
When have you seen a political drama like scenario like in Act 1 when they come back into New F era, which what we were playing, and them talking in this neat and clean hall, you know, and discussing military tactics. It's like, come on, we need to get out of here, blah blah blah, and them rallying into something or the other. So that was, I really loved those.
They put a lot of attention to even the lockers, how the lockers are. There's few things on the lockers that they appreciate the player who's taking the time out to observe all these things. It's rewarding for that person. There are few things. So a lot of attention to detail that has gone into Gears 5. Now, when it comes to the combat, we should talk a little about the combat also.
We talk about everything.
I feel Gears 5, I was just looking at Gears 2 videos again. Gears 5 is not as gritty as Gears 2 in terms of the vibration, the blood, the gore, and the usage of bleak, muted colors. And some people might enjoy it, some people might, the Gears hardcore fans would be like, this is not gritty enough. But I think that they've toned down with time and let the subtleties come up. So Gears 2 was a product of a very different time, where it was game needed to be that. People appreciated that. So I feel that it's not a downgrade that people say, oh, Gears 2 was more gritty in terms of when the person cuts someone and the blood splatters across, gushes out.
Kill Bill Volume 2.
So this has been toned down. I feel they made it more realistic. And I feel that even use of new colors and other things just brings the world to life. And it's a different world, like you were saying, it's a different world. It is after war, so it needs to represent some
sort of
positivity
and somewhat organization.
Then guns, you'll find
Lots of guns.
you'll find familiar guns. They could have done better job in introducing new guns, but they introduced 2 or 3 guns, I think. So
Which
that's
is fine,
fine.
yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
overload
They
it.
don't
And
want it to
at
be
least,
Borderlands.
at least there's a purpose behind that gun.
Exactly.
So even if in case you have Lancer, you
Yeah.
have the new Lancer, the
The
Lancer
GL.
GL.
Yeah,
It has a different purpose,
much different purpose.
right? It does. It has the secondary fire.
Yeah. The grenade launcher.
Yes, but it's not unlimited.
Yeah.
So it's
And just
ammo
3 or
based,
4. Yeah.
and you'll pick up that gun for a different purpose. Your original Lancer that you're comfortable with, and retro if you're
If you have nothing else, then you go with a retro or a drop shot. If you want to
I
kill
don't know
yourself.
because I was just carrying these guns and giving it to them.
long shot feels good as ever.
It's the
Yes.
same, yeah.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
There are few weapon tweaks I feel that they've done to few other weapons here and there.
Enforcer, I think. wasn't so
Enforcer,
good.
I don't like. It's too much of
4
recoil.
is what introduced a big mass of new weapons of the DBs.
Exactly.
Right, the DB class weapons, etc. So those have been carried forward here, and additional to that, you have a couple of others like the claw, and we cannot forget melee weapons in
Melee
Gears for the
weapons,
first
exactly.
time. You know, the staff of that what is super huge
Warden.
guy.
Warden. He's called the Warden.
Warden, that super
Scared
looking
guy.
guy, but he's an amazing character design for an
Yes.
enemy.
Exactly.
I mean, he uses these double staffs,
Mace.
which somehow becomes one staff
Yes,
for you,
yes.
and it's like a one-hit kill for
It's
multiple
one-hit kill.
enemies.
And it's got a arc to it, so you don't have to hit it right on the
Exactly.
head. So
It's a AOE.
Yeah, it's a
Area of
AOE,
effect damage,
and you can hit multiple.
Absolutely. And
It's
that feels
overpowered, but
But
to
very
trade-
limited.
Limited. So that's
And you're
that's how you
trading your
balance it.
ranged weapon for that, so it's
Exactly.
a good balance.
It's a good
We
balance.
also have pipes which we never used.
I know,
I
that
don't know
was-
why
that
those
was-
were there.
That was there in the second one.
Pipes, I
Second
think so.
act.
Yeah,
Probably
second
to
act.
crack those ice.
I think that was the
Ice.
only place where they came.
Second
Yeah,
act, I
it's
mean,
just the
second
ice
chapter,
where you
sorry.
can
Yeah.
crack those ice, probably
Act
to
two.
use
Yes.
those for cracking those ice,
maybe,
those
maybe.
walls,
So little
rather
weird.
than using your ammo.
Yeah.
But I
We
use
got
my ammo.
smoke grenades. We got what else? The claw. Maybe a couple of other guns here and there.
Claw actually felt very good.
It's a bit weird. It's like
it's
again
weird.
in I think in podcast unlocked where they were describing it as this mini game because
Exactly.
it starts narrow and then
it's-
it spreads and then it becomes narrow again. So
But
you got to
once-
maintain
Yeah.
that.
Once you control it, once you get a hang
Yeah,
of it,
it's
it's
fun.
one of the
It's
powerful,
fun.
one of the more powerful weapons or OP weapons.
Yeah,
in-
locust weapon.
Markza,
You got
I think, was
Mark-
always
Mark-
there.
Markza was there in Gears 4.
Markza is
The
also
UIR
one. If
weapons.
you can use Markza
It's a good
efficiently,
gun.
it's a fantastic.
Like
weapon.
it's basically like a scout rifle.
So
of-
you have sprayed weapons like lancers for people who do not want to
Semi-sprayed,
aim.
yeah, it's okay.
Who do not want to aim. Then you have
Yeah.
long shot and your
M-bar.
M-bars and what's this? Marcus. No, not Marcus.
Marcus?
No, not
Marcus
Marcus.
is a gun?
Magza.
Okay.
Yeah.
Magza,
That's a single shot.
where you need to be careful about how
Yes.
you use your ammo, and then weapons that have a lot of recoil. So there's this dynamic that keeps
Absolutely.
on coming. So for more advanced players,
Yeah.
they have something to improve, something
You
to
have
look
the hammer
forward.
burst, which is as boring to use as ever,
God.
and the drop shot, which we still
which
haven't figured out.
We've not figured out how the drop shot works.
Absolutely.
The drop
Buzz
shot
kill
is like the meme of their Widowmaker, our Widowmaker, because in the hands of the enemy, he'll blast you to smithereens.
But when
then
we use
get
it, it's like me.
कहाँ गया क्यों फूट रहे हो उससे पहले? What the heck, man?
Then you need to even control the heat. Some weapons, like the heavy weapons, have this heat. That you
Yeah,
need
that's
to
been
keep
there
control.
since some time with the RB to cool them down. You have the cryo gun,
Cryo.
That was
one of
cool.
the amazing. We won't spoil it, but one of the
But-
amazing boss fights of the
Yes,
game.
Exactly.
which we actually enjoyed.
Coming
despite
to
being
boss
fight-
fights, I feel the boss
And
fights.
one sec, just sorry. Talking about cooldown, for the cryo weapon, it's opposite. Because
Yes,
it's freezing, it
Exactly.
blocks the front nozzle, so it actually uses flames.
Flames, it
to
uses-
sort of cool it down.
That was really good.
Which is
That was
very
really
nice.
That's
very
nice.
different.
The bosses, I feel they were less bosses than generally what
damn,
Gears
they were
have,
good.
but they were very well designed.
They were
like the
brilliant.
boss encounters felt like boss
Felt like
encounters.
boss encounters.
And overall,
And they left you. Shit. What
was that? We won't spoil one of the bosses in the act that we felt that dragged. So Gears, it's not
You
a
can say
perfect
which act it was.
Act 3.
Which
Act 3,
was-
which
yeah.
felt
It was chapter 3.
Act 3.
three.
Act 3.
Okay, the
Act
acts.
3.
Okay,
Acts
okay.
have
Some
some
chapters
chapters.
of
Oh yes.
some chapters of those acts were good.
Oh yes.
Mostly it felt being dragged. I
It
feel
felt unnecessary and not unnecessary, it felt poorly done. You know, it was like they just reskinned Act 2 and made it red.
I feel that's a open world fatigue that happens. Whenever a game tries to do open world, it happens. It's a very tricky thing.
I wouldn't give them too much of leeway on this because you know there is once you guys play it, there is a huge difference in the quality of Act 2, Act 3 and what you've played before and what you will play after.
नहीं फिर वो चीज़ होती है ना लोग कहते हैं यार कुछ नया किया ही नहीं.
नहीं बट नया नहीं है उसमें ना कुछ उसमें बेसिकली क्या है that is copying the mechanics of Act 2 but with no heart, no soul, no writing. It's like a bad Ubisoft open world part where you have literally a couple of guys barking out side quests and you're going around finishing those. So that's one of the negatives of the game.
It should point out that so don't go in expecting that the story has no flaws. It has few pacing issues here and there.
Yes.
It does drag here
and some questions which are asked which it doesn't give the answers to.
There are those questions.
There are many things. Like Anya, they talk about in Act 1.
There are a lot of
things which they bring it up 2-3 times and it's not solved or answered. And there were a couple of other things.
For the next one. It's good they didn't answer everything.
Let's hope so. I'm just wondering and I hope they do answer it and don't leave it open-ended because I don't know whether they would answer those side questions like that, which are important to us. The other thing is why we're praising it in such a way is because we played all the Gears games multiple times. So for a person who has played those and then seeing so much heart and soul in a Gears game, of course the impact of it is much more than a guy who will just start playing it and jump into it. Even if you played Gears 4, you'll still not have that much of a. I mean, you might think we're exaggerating that it's fantastic and all that, but if you played the older games, then it would make sense. Then you'll definitely understand how.
Steel का glass मत दिखाओ बार.
दिखा मैंने इतनी बार दिखाया पर.
फिर मैं ग्लास
भी करते हैं.
फिर मैं अच्छा वाला ग्लास लेके आता.
अच्छा है ना थोड़ा देश.
ये भी है. ये भी.
बॉटल है ग्लास वाला वो दिखा.
We're not that poor.
बॉटल दिखा देंगे ये.
So in terms of difficulty, I felt that the game was pretty well balanced. For normal also, it did give you a challenge. And I felt that it was tight. Generally normal is you feel that it's going to be normal.
In previous Gears has been very easy.
Very easy. So as you were expecting normal would be okay. But this was actually challenging in a good way. I
mean what are those, the sluggies which we call them, the pouncers and the guys who swallow you up, their one hit takes you down.
Exactly.
So that was never there in the previous
They had an
years.
affinity for Kankicks as well.
And in fact, that I think so fits in Jack also perfectly because without Jack, without the stem, without the res, that extra partner, so it would not have been
without
so
the
well
stealth mode.
I think that's the time we started enjoying having Jack in it. Initially, we were just really bugged with it. That what nonsense is this happening? This is the first time we're playing as a robot. Like.
Also bugged with the bugs.
We were bugged with the bugs, and it's like, for instance, they are talking about all the guns. I could not experience those guns, but when we went forward and I started getting components and I could actually put certain, upgrade my abilities, I could help them out so much. Because of that, we actually enjoyed the game. The dynamic of the game changed because of that, and it was just such a good experience.
I think the biggest problem of this game is its polish. Not of the main game itself, not of the campaign, but its UI, its entirety of its bugs, which were catastrophic. Initially for 3-player co-op. I think you must have seen our mixed up social feeds and all that, how we were getting so frustrated that these guys were literally axing their own foot. We had to start, 3, 4, 5 times we tried the same thing again, and 3, 4, 5 times in one day. We tried the same mission again and again. इस save से करते हैं, उस save से करते हैं.
New save slots.
New save slots. Kankicks would keep generating a new. It would not. It refused to.
Jack's abilities would go.
Then exactly. That was later.
That was later.
Was just to get the darn game running.
That was unplayable. That was not connected.
It would kick us out. Or there will be no audio.
Absolutely. It would kick you out. When we entered back, there would be no audio. Then
you'll
have to
other
restart
players are not there.
Exactly.
Yeah, that happened with us. Like,
and then finally, when they did some patches, emergency patches, which was pretty fast.
Which was within 2 or 3 days, they were able to do it.
That bitterness sets in.
Yes.
Despite that,
and the patch was also not big. It was like a 340 MB. 340
के 2 आए थे. एक 250 था, एक 340 था. So after that, once we did that, Then we had problems where once in one act, Jack was like 50 feet above
Yeah.
everyone.
And I was like, can you see me? And they looked up. And in
Jack
their
had to come
screen, I was
down
like
and
a
go,
little speck.
and he couldn't do that.
So we had to restart the chapter so that I could go
Then
down.
there were problems where Jack has to, basically the whole point of Jack is his upgradability.
Exactly.
Otherwise there's nothing much there. So the upgradability would just keep disappearing on every, I think, checkpoint.
Yes.
Mostly. And every
It was as you
autosave,
progress through the story in every
all
act,
your
it
components
just
would
go.
disappear.
Yeah.
And that was just very annoying.
No, it would not only disappear, it would
Components
bring
would
me
not
back to
disappear.
square
Not
one.
all the
Your
abilities.
I could not
Abilities would disappear.
upgrade and I would be back to square one. So when I can upgrade my zapping to zapping 2 enemies at the same time, it would bring me back to zapping 1 enemy like slowly.
Not just zapping, there was
And-
one scene to progress in the story. Jack needed an upgrade, the stem upgrade, so
stem
that
upgrade.
we can run through fire.
Yeah.
Right? And that ability was not being able to be upgraded by Jack if it wasn't being played by the main player, which was super weird. Throughout the game, we were facing these issues.
Not just that, we were getting stuck in the environment.
We were getting
Sometimes
stuck in
your
the
AI
environment.
companion JD would get
Would
stuck.
get stuck.
Oh my
Towards
god.
Act 3.
Act
We
three.
kept
Suddenly
going.
refused to move forward.
And suddenly see JD ka tap con, we were like at the back and then we
like
were
400
running.
miles.
And it's
back.
he's not stuck in a constrained
Yeah,
environment. It's an
it's
open
open
environment.
area.
He refused to move,
Refused to
turn.
चले ही
आगे सिर्फ एक डब्बा है
I
उसके
remember
ऊपर.
you guys needed him, you
Needed
shot at
him,
him,
shot at
then
him,
you
made
talk
no
to him
difference.
nicely, please Aja JD.
JD,
please.
JD, आजो,
JD, आजाओ,
please.
कुछ नहीं बोला.
And we would run back के JD कहाँ गया?
आजा. Then
Oh
there
my
was
God, that was just bad.
one was that, then there was another
AI
issue.
would come, even AI partners would come in your way.
AI partners, yes. Then there was the
Definitely.
problem of the button mapping and basically जब जहाँ आपका blue X आता है,
Yes.
where you're either going through a crevice
Exactly.
or you're trying to sit on that
That was a
sledge
big
of theirs, whatever it's called. Jack would have this problem where the blue X button would not come up, where you had to actually go there and sit inside. Those were huge problems, and those were spit and polish
I think so.
problems. which
Those were problems. Those were not exactly bugs. Those were
not bugs, but they were badly
hitboxes
done.
and other things
Hitboxes
that-
which were mismanaged.
mismanaged. Not hitboxes, exactly the interaction
Active area, yeah.
interaction
Exactly.
areas that they could have expanded the interaction.
No,
area.
sometimes they just wouldn't come up.
Uh,
You know, there were points when they wouldn't come up. So that was.
but
that,
so and they were. The point is that the bugs were not that big. They could have solved it just 1 month.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it was not like Anthem. It will take 6
exactly,
months to
6
fix
months
it.
to
Or
fix.
it's the core of the game is there.
The foundation was all
They
there.
just needed 1 month to iron it out,
Yes.
and they
To
could have
polish it
released
out.
It was
Polish
probably
just-
some of the worst, the most sloppy QA you've seen.
Yeah.
It's like what we were going on saying कि पूरा अच्छा टीम बैठा और उसके बाद इंटर्न को बोलते हैं भाई तू UI मेन मेन्यू बना दे जल्दी से
देख ले, ये
और
चीज़ कर
बाकी
ले।
ये बग्स चेक कर ले QA कर ले and just ship it now बस ship कर दिया जल्दी से. So that ruined the experience overall. But despite that, we enjoyed the game.
Yeah, actually,
And
that really goes to show
This is
how
just reflecting the single player of
Campaign, yes.
campaign. The multiplayer and other things we have not experienced it.
Not
to
yet, not fully.
give a concrete thought on
Yeah.
it or objective opinion on it.
Yes.
But what people are saying, some people are cheesed off with the microtransactions and other things being introduced.
didn't know that.
There are
Seriously?
microtransactions in the
That's bad.
multiplayer. So there's a big hoo-ha about microtransactions and people are cheesed off that they should not be
No,
there.
it's not fair.
So it's not
That's
fair for a
stupid.
$60 game.
Yeah.
So
And that too, one of the few good first parties of this coming. Again, they're axing their own foot.
That's what. But they have introduced new modes like Escape and
Yes.
Horde mode,
They
which
have
is
Horde,
the
which
old.
has
But
been there.
the idea is they're going beyond just
Yeah.
multiplayer.
The different characters, Sarah Connor, Terminator,
Exactly.
Dave
Yeah.
Bautista, all these guys. So
As
that's
a
interesting.
package, when you compare a PlayStation
Yeah.
game, they would be focused on single player. Gears is a full package.
Absolutely.
So if you're looking for multiplayer, co-op multiplayer,
Yes.
or versus multiplayer,
PvP,
or
PvE.
a great phenomenal single player campaign, you'll get everything over here.
Everything.
that was good.
They've done a great job that way. So
Yeah.
guys, these were our thoughts, our very long disjointed thoughts for Gears 5. And another thing, I wish they should just name it Gears of War. Why did they
Gears
take
of
it
War
Gears 5? It's just lame, man. Anyway,
I thought it was a working title.
Yeah,
But वो-
same here.
वहाँ पे आया Gears 5.
Gears 5.
What the hell?
so those were our thoughts for Gears 5. And let us know what you think in the comments below. I'm Smokedship,
I'm Kankicks.
And I'm PsychoAnalyzer8.
and this was Mixed Up, signing off.